Hey, Jenny, it's great to see you.
So great to see you too. Just thank you in advance for your time today. I'm really excited to get talking about Kansas State and the journey we've been on together for the last year and a half, 2 years now.
Absolutely. It's been an exciting one. It really has.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you everyone for attending today. We're really excited for this back to school series, the campus kickoff with an A+ facilities team with Kansas State University. We'll do a couple quick intros. We'll go through the agenda and some questions we're going to have answered today. And we'll leave about 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the webinar for questions, comments, and anything Linda and I can address while we're all on this journey together. So I'll start. My name is Jenny Little. I'm the Vice President of Sales here at Aunt Flo. I've been flowing with the organization for almost 2 years now. I work with many facilities teams like Linda's to implement free period programs across campuses, schools, organizations, stadiums, you name it. If you have a bathroom, you've probably heard of us. So really excited. And Linda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Jenny, and hey, everybody. It's great to meet you. Well, my name's Linda Craghead. I'm the Director of Facility Services here at Kansas State University. I'm a proud graduate, of course, of the Wildcat family, and have had the opportunity to work with K-State again at my alma mater for the last 5 years in this current capacity. So it's been great.
Awesome. Yeah, Linda has been such a cheerleader of Aunt Flo since we met. And I couldn't think when we talked about doing a webinar series, Linda was the first person who came to mind. So I'm really excited to have this conversation today. And as for an agenda, we're going to go through a few things, but we think what's really important is talking about, first and foremost, what made Kansas State think about menstruating students on campus? How did Kansas State hear about OnFlow for the first time? Some of the reasons, the whys behind Kansas State. Why did they decide to implement our period program on campus? Campus impact, some of the things that they're hearing from students, parents, the facilities teams at the university itself, and some of the organization's employees. But then also thinking about how it's been having the dispensers on campus and how it's been working with OnFlow. And again, we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end, but we're really excited to get started. And Linda, if you're ready, we'll jump right in.
Let's go.
Awesome. So first and foremost, what made you think about menstruating students? We hear from a lot of facilities teams that, toilet paper is of course top of mind, but what became that conversation at the university level about menstruating students and how to care for them on campus?
Well, a couple things. I mean, number one, I'm a girl, and when it comes to period products, growing up, those things just weren't readily available for us. So when I came to K State, I had the opportunity to meet with a lot of different groups of people, everything from the Student Government Association to different faculty, different staff across campus, and I had the opportunity to. I noted that around K State, we had all of these old vending machines that were supposed to have period products in them, but lo and behold, they weren't stocked. And, and when I started asking people about why they weren't stocked, there was a variety of reasons. In fact, it was really kind of funny because some of these old machines even have padlocks on them, like it was like a treasure trove of money in those units, which of course we all know that wasn't the case. And so I'm like, well, why do we have these machines in our bathrooms when we're not stocking them? It doesn't even make sense. I mean, if anything, people are putting money in and they're not getting anything out, and that's going to cause frustration. And so, in a matter of asking the why question, what I found were a group of people that we called the period fairies. In some of our buildings, they were actually going around and they were putting baskets out and they were stocking the product themselves because they knew how important these products were for our student body population and our faculty and our staff. And so I had the opportunity to have a little meeting with this group of people, and we found out that there was going to be a potential for an internal grant within K State for a special project on campus. And so when we got our heads together, we were like, you know what the heck? Why don't we apply with this is something that is important to our student body, and we really need to think about is this and should period products be something that is offered just across campus. Period. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have vending machines in bathrooms that don't work. It's just going to cause frustration. And so, anyway, we thought, what the heck? Let's just apply for this grant. And regretfully, we didn't get it. And so, the conversation continued. And it's like, why? What's the purpose? Why do we need this? Well, women have periods, and it's a fact of life. I mean, it's something that we need to make readily available on campus. And so, um, we really weren't sure how we were going to go about this. And lo and behold, in 2019, started with K State in 2019 in the spring. That fall, I had the opportunity to go to Vegas to a trade show. It's called ISSA. And gone through some classes, and I was coming down the escalator. Oh my gosh, there was this lady down at the bottom of the escalator, and she was just handing out tampons left and right. Hey, do you need some? Hey, do you need some? Because everybody, who knows, you might need some product. So here it is. It's readily available. And it happened to be Claire Coder. And Claire was, I was just amazed by her. I was, number one, I was just in awe that this person would be handing out free period products at the bottom of an escalator. It didn't matter if you're a man or a woman. She was just making sure that you had it, and she intrigued me. And so I just kept coming back around to her, and I was like, we need to talk. And so I had the opportunity to visit with Claire, and she talked to me about her mission and her vision. And I was like, I think that this might be a good fit for K State.
That's amazing. I want to touch on something you mentioned at the top of your of that is you had these old dispensers on campus. Some of them were
With
padlocked. They
padlock,
weren't they weren't
yeah,
being stocked.
mm-mm,
If
yeah,
I could tell you the amount of times I hear that same concern on a daily basis, or the amount of pictures I have in my phone of bathrooms with old dispensers, what a lot of facilities team members and just administration in general don't realize is some of those old dispensers aren't even ADA compliant anymore. They have the crank knob mechanisms that aren't ADA compliant, or they're not being stocked to your point. And you have students asking, hey, where can I get period products across campus? So it's just really great and mindful of you to think about how do we update this for the better use of our students across campus.
not only that, but also update it for the better use of our facility staff. I think, one of the things when I asked why the padlocks were on there, a couple different reasons. They didn't want people breaking into them. And as a matter of fact, I was like, well, so who collects the money? If our custodians don't have a key and can't open it up to stock the product, who's doing it? And well, it's all about making sure that we're accounting for the money that we're receiving in those units. And we just don't want to open the door for just anybody to take them. And how do we know that they're stocking it with proper inventory? And so it was a trust issue too, which number one, I took offense to, because our facility staff are extremely important to this university. And without them throughout COVID, without, I, I tell every single one of them that they're first impression makers or breakers. And so it's really important for our custodial staff to understand the role that they play in recruiting students to our university. And if they play an important enough role to ensure the safety and the health and the well-being, and ensure that we are a top recruiting university, by making positive first impressions, then by golly, they can stock a unit. And if we have to, we'll take the money out of it. But quite frankly, I don't think we need to do that, because there are options out there that exist for our student body population that would take all that risk out of the hands of anybody that might perceive it as a risk, and offer a wonderful product and a wonderful service for our student body population.
Wonderful. And I mean, you think about the accounting process in general of removing quarters from a machine. I can't imagine the time that your
Mhm.
facilities team is taking to do that.
Well, if
Or
you think about it, who carries money anymore? Everybody's got a card. And I don't, and change is just jingle in my pocket that I don't want to have to carry around. And in fact, I used to carry a purse all the time. I don't even do that anymore. Bring my phone, I slide my cards into it, and away I go. And so I think it's important for us to recognize that how commerce is transpiring is changing. And what we thought was just really convenient in the past isn't so convenient anymore. And making sure that we are really thinking about the future of our universities and how we're going to function, is important. And this is just another avenue to support that.
absolutely. And you mentioned you met us at ISSA, which is a really large trade show that Aunt Flo attends every year, and we got to meet you there as well, and you got to meet our wonderful founder, Claire Coder. But once you met Aunt Flo, you saw us in person, you got to touch and feel the product, see the dispensers. What was that like coming back to the university and having those conversations? Or what really sparked that flame to say, now is the time?
I think now is the time. I think that when COVID hit us, we really had to think about how we were going to differentiate ourselves from other universities moving forward, because we recognized that it's really, really important for us to take an active and engaging effort, an initiative to really set our university apart from other universities. And so when we started talking to people about recruitment, when we started talking to the students about what their needs were and what they thought would be something that would differentiate us, actually this product came up. Uh, let me rephrase that. Not necessarily Ant Flow, but the need for providing this service for our student body population came up in conversation with the Student Government Association. And so, you know, one of the things that's important is to balance the need for services along with the ability to provide services. And I think that the thing about the AntFlow dispensers and the AntFlow product is that it's really simple. Um, it's it's easy to support, as you can see on the pictures that are here. Our staff can identify when the product is low. I mean, it's really easy to look through the little window and say, "Oh, we need to stock that product. We're running low on it." It is it. There's not probably, in my personal opinion, because obviously in the university realm, we have to make sure that we're doing our research and looking for viable options, and it's not just okay, here's what we're doing. We're going strictly with the inflow. We have to look at the competition. What else is out there, and what other resources are available? But there wasn't another product that allowed us to stock the quantity of products in their dispenser that you guys do. I mean, the closest thing that we found stocked, I believe it was 10 pads and maybe 15 tampons. And so I look at it from the standpoint of I don't want to fill the dispenser any more than necessary. And I want to make sure that it's easy for us to identify when that product is needed, when we need a refill. And it's easy for our team to identify that. And so when we started talking and we were like, well, maybe this is something that we can pursue. And so there was actually a kind of a full-on initiative. Um, One of the initiatives that the Student Government Association had decided to take forth to our legislation was the need to remove the pink tax across the board in the state of Kansas. That is getting ready to happen, which is really great news. Yeah, it's a great win. Um, and I think the other thing is that everybody, whether it was the Professional Staff Association, it was the Faculty Senate, it was the Student Government Association, started talking about the need for this service. And university leadership heard. And they heard, they had luncheons with the SGA, they had meetings with professional staff and support staff and Faculty Senate. Um, and it was a resonating topic that continued to come up. And so I had the opportunity to meet with leadership and put forth the idea, and they welcomed it. They actually said, "Well, let's talk about it. What does that mean? Why is it that we really need it?" And I think that, and you'll find this probably across the nation, that in a lot of instances, our university leadership is comprised of men. Um, and that is changing, and that's a great thing to see. We're seeing more and more women in the leadership roles at universities, but a lot of times, quite frankly, guys just don't get it. They don't understand, and it became really apparent to me. And I know that our leadership would probably go, "Oh my God, Linda, I can't believe you're sharing this." But we sat down. I sat down with me, and there were about six other guys in the room, and one other female in the room. And it was a great opportunity for them to just ask questions, because believe it or not every man knows that a woman doesn't start her period on a scheduled time frame. We don't know when it's going to happen. It isn't, and it's these guys were married, had kids, and some of the questions that they had were really basic, and it was a great conversation to have. And I have to say, I had to take a really deep breath because I was just like, it kind of struck me as I was kind of surprised by it, but at the same time, I really admire these guys' willingness to ask questions because without their curiosity, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today. For them to feel comfortable asking questions about our student body population and the fact that actually women when they do menstruate and it comes as a surprise in their students, typically the last thing they're going to do is continue to go to class, and it's really important for our student body success to be in class. And when surprises happen and we show up on campus, we run into the bathroom and we're like, oh my gosh, and we're stuffing our underwear full of toilet paper, that the last thing that we're going to do is, and especially if we don't have any product with us, and there's not we are blessed with another person in the restroom that has some product, we're gonna you know we're gonna scurry out of the restroom and we're gonna run home as fast as we can to get the product that we need, maybe change our clothes, and probably not even show up on campus again that day. And so for our student body to be successful, the guys recognize the need for this product, and we're willing to say, okay, what do we got to do to make it happen? Let's get some numbers out there. Let's put some research together. Let's get some get some quotes and calculate how much product we might need, and if we were to do this, what's it mean? What's it look like from an investment perspective? Um, and so we started to move forward. We did a lot of research. We actually got quotes from multiple vendors, and AntFlow was willing to cooperate with our quotes. And not only did they come in at a very competitive rate, but when you looked at the the during that time, if everybody remembers, during COVID, period products were difficult to get, and AntFlow was able to say, we can secure this product. This product is made in the United States. It's not an imported product. It is coming. We can get it to you, Linda. Hands down, it's going to happen. I can assure you. And so when I put the numbers together, even some of our largest distributors and manufacturers couldn't get us. We wanted over 650 dispensers to go across the board with all of our campuses, all of our athletic venues, all of our university buildings, and there was not, at that point in time, another manufacturer that could meet any of the timeframes that we were looking at. And you guys could. And so that was really a a key decision-making factor in this whole process. So you guys were able to pull through, when so many others couldn't.
You made a really great statement about students leaving class, not even attending class if they were to get their period unexpectedly. And we
Mhm.
know it's about 86%. I am going to venture that that number is higher
Probably.
of women who have gotten their period in public without access to period products,
Mhm.
which is so alarming to some. But now, to your point, toilet paper is offered for free in every bathroom. So the question is start to being, you start posing the question of why aren't period products? Why aren't period products being offered in every bathroom? And so for us to talk about student life and how important it is on campus to create that sense of belonging, that sense of need and basic need on campus is so important. And it was such great conversations with you and thinking through how we do this and implement the program. And so you talked a little bit about why Aunt Flo and some of the reasons why you went with Aunt Flo and the reason our dispensers are great for your faculty. But I'm going to go off script a little bit because I'd love for you to tell the story about how many dispensers your facilities head Jacob was able to install in just a short time, because we do get that question of, well, who's going to install this? How do we
Yeah,
get this done? We can buy the dispensers, but how do we get them on the wall? So if you don't mind
yeah,
elaborating on that a little bit, because that's one of my favorite stories.
absolutely, absolutely. We purchased, with our initial purchase, 661 dispensers. And we had a lot of discussion about this because we had actually also um, gone through and actually changed out all of our toilet paper dispensers and all of our paper towel dispensers. Worked with our distributor who said, and actually they hired a third party to install those paper towel dispensers, the toilet paper dispensers, the soap dispensers for us. And so automatically there was this thought, okay, are we going to do the same thing with our ant flow dispensers? Well, we had a young man that works on our team that he's just, you'll just fall in love with him if you meet him. His name's Jacob. And he's like, well, before we do that, why don't I see if I can install him? And I was like, well, okay, let's give it a shot. So he's like, Linda, that's a lot to install. And he had to take the old ones off and put the new ones in. And he's like, I might be able, if I do this, maybe I could get 3 a day. I don't know. This might be kind of difficult. Oh my gosh. He's like, this is the simplest dispenser ever to install. And I think after the first couple of days, he was cranking out at least 20 a day, and that wasn't even a full day's worth of dispenser installations. He talked about the ease of implementation. You know, in every dispenser package comes a template to install. He was even coming up, I think for you guys, even came up with some ideas to make a little bit more a harder surface to actually use as a template, possibly the back of the box, to make it a little stiffer instead of a piece of paper. So he was coming up with great ideas, and he was just rocking and rolling, and he was so proud of himself, and we were so proud of him because within less than probably about 10 days installation time frame, he had them all installed. It was awesome. He rocked and rolled, and he was literally would tell you that it's really, really simple. No matter what type of wall that you're putting them on, to install this dispenser, it was a breeze.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's
Mhm.
when I got to meet Jacob for the first time, his energy did not surprise
Yeah,
me on having a goal for himself to get those all installed. So that's an amazing
absolutely.
story.
Hmm.
And so how has it been having the dispensers on campus when you think about student sentiment? Even we've talked about the parents coming on campus and seeing the dispensers on the wall. Walk me through that a little bit.
I think, and even faculty and staff, I think it's important that on university settings. I mean, obviously our focus is on students, but really faculty and staff as well. So one of the things that when we install these, we partner with AntFlow to put QR codes up to get a little bit feedback from our student body population, and they did. I mean, it was just absolutely, the comments were awesome. Everything from, wow, these are so great. And oh, you saved my day. I'm to a mom that said, I think the comment was, I'm so proud that my daughter's going to school at K-State. You can tell that you guys care. And it was like, you know, what we did, sorry, what we did made a difference. And I think moving forward, when people come in, I think the one thing that they will know about K-State is that we care. And the students know that, the faculty know that. It's not just about talking the talk, it's about walking the walk too. And sometimes it's just the simplest things that you can do that can make a difference in the life of a person. And this is one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. And we, you know, it's hard to think about it because student government come to us all the time and say, look, we don't have these products on campus. We're going into the bathroom and sometimes the toilet paper is not even stocked. How do we begin the conversation? How do we even start the conversation from student government all the way up to the admin at the university? And Linda, I think you've done such a incredible job being a cheerleader for your menstruators on campus. But you had mentioned something that I think is really interesting are the non-menstruators who sometimes make these decisions and can be, questioning, well, how do we get this done? What type of funding? Where does that come from? Where does it live? How do we get this done so that our students have this sense of belonging and the parents can see that we care and we're setting ourselves aside from the universities around us? What were those kind of conversations like? And I know that you touched on it a little bit, but walk me through just those conversations and how meaningful they were around those tables.
Well, I think the thing as as a director within facilities itself, first and foremost, I had to take a look at my staff and really think about from my standpoint. I think from a facilities purpose, one of the things that we tend to want to say is not something else. Oh my gosh, we are so understaffed. This is just another thing that we're going to have to take on. And I think it's actually what we found from a facilities perspective is that it has kept our restrooms cleaner. And I know that that sounds kind of crazy, but it has kept our restrooms cleaner, and we haven't used as much toilet paper. There's a lot of other little nuances that have gone hand in hand with it. But I think when approaching uh, your organization, if this is something that you want to do, one of the best places to start is to have that conversation with the student body population. Student government associations, and they all have different names across different universities, carry a lot of influence. And most have regular meetings with their president or with their chancellor. And if this is something that they want, they need to take that to the top, because it may not be if in our particular situation, we were blessed because the product themselves and the dispensers, the cost of the product did not come out of the facilities budget. This was a decision that the university leadership said that we are going to support across the board, no matter what. We're going to take away all excuses, so that nobody has to worry about this coming out of an individual budget. So I know that I've talked to some universities who have said, well, my college of business actually provides the product for us, but nobody else on campus does, because that's the decision that the college of business made to take that initiative to take it out of their own budget. But this is an initiative that K-State adopted on a full scale basis. And it can easily be driven through the student government. It's really a great approach to go that direction. But if you're a member of student government, one of the things I would encourage you to do is have a conversation with your facilities team. Just say, hey, this is something that we want. What are, why would you think that this would not be a good thing? What are some of the roadblocks that we might be facing that would make it, that you think it might make it difficult for you, and how can we help? Because I will promise you that most facilities teams are probably understaffed, or maybe they're not technically understaffed by total FTEs, but they are understaffed because they can't hire. They just can't find the people to come onto their team. And so, partner with your facilities group, talk to your faculty senate organizations, talk to your professional staff organizations, your support staff organizations, and just really get the momentum going. It's not like it's sort of like getting a maybe in my case, not so much so, but in some cases, it's like getting a big freight train started. It's not the decision may not happen all at once, but the more momentum you got that you can get going across the university, the more discussions that you can have, and the the larger need that you can identify, it's gonna begin to resonate with your leadership. And this is something that, from K State's perspective, K State didn't see this as a cost of doing business, but K State recognizes this is an investment in doing business, because we recognize that, um, again, going back to how do you differentiate yourself from other universities? What makes you an institution that is going to attract people? The way we recruit and the way we build our numbers future forward isn't going to be the same. We can't recruit students on the same basis. And I'm not going to say that because we have AmFlow products that does differentiate us, but quite frankly, it does, because there's not many universities that offer free period products to women across campus. So it's something that when students walk on campus and they see, it's just a subtle nuance that is going to make a difference. Because truth be known, um, when kids come on campus, and if you look at some of the statistics that are out there, approximately 68% of students and families make decisions to come to a university in the first 15 minutes of getting to campus. And guess where a lot of people go in the first 15 minutes of coming to campus? They go to the bathroom. And so, before they start their journey onto their campus tour. So just those little tiny first impression moments can make or break an organization, and an individual's desire, and even for a potential employee, same type of thing. First impressions can make or break make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. When you say that, they come on campus in the first 15 minutes, they're going to the bathroom before they start a tour.
Mhm,
So that
mhm,
first impression in
mhm,
your facilities is really, really important, which I
mhm.
love. Um, and so one of the questions I have is a lot of universities come to us and they say, we want to start a program, but we don't know where to start. We want to maybe trial it in a few bathrooms rather than full campus wide to see how it would go, to see the feedback we'd get from students. What would you say to a university who is looking to do maybe a little at a time versus a full program? Or I guess, why did Kansas State decide to do a full program rather than a pilot?
Well, in truth, if you recall, we did do a little bit of a pilot. We had, I think, 12 dispensers on campus, and we used a QR code to gather feedback. And that feedback went to our Student Government Association. And so we wanted to show that it would make a difference. However, what we didn't do is decide to pilot it in 10 different buildings, or it was actually in our union and in our College of Business in one other building. And it wasn't from the standpoint of um, necessarily, do we or don't we? It was like, is this the right product for our consumer? Is this something that is it attractive? Is it something that's needed? Are we going to get some positive feedback? But I think when it comes right down to it, it's going to be up to the individual university. And I see a comment from Angie in here who is not part of facilities, but it's part of housing. And that would it'd be a great project for housing and dining to take on. Not necessarily in every single dorm room, but in your public restrooms. Something to definitely consider. And I think when people do see something that is working, and once you start it, Angie, be sure to brag about your success and the difference that it's going to make for that it is making for the people that are in your dorms and in your facilities. But um, really, it depends on the university, and there is an investment, there is an upfront cost, but at the end of the day, if we can recruit, if you look at if you can if you can recruit, let's say I don't know who else on the call, but let's say your average um, enrollment, the tuition cost is $10,000, and let's say that you decide to install $100,000 worth of product. 10 students is all it takes, guys, and so to offset the cost of those units. And so, can that can that be a deal breaker? Yeah, but at the end of the day, your investment cost is so minimal compared to the difference that it can make in your recruiting efforts at your university.
Absolutely.
Amanda says, "How long did we run our pilot? We did it for 60 days, and it was a very short pilot and a very small pilot. But we had hundreds of responses in that short period of time, and there wasn't a single one that was negative. I think there was one. May have been one individual that uh, for her personally, the product wasn't as comfortable as some other products that she had used, but she at the same time was extremely grateful that we had the product in place. And uh, I have not heard any comments like that since. So everybody is built a little bit differently, and everybody has a different desire for different products. But as a whole, everybody's been extremely receptive to what we've offered.
Yeah. And we find, to Angie's question, that it's an investment of about $2 to $5 per menstruating student per year. So if you're charging $4.50 for a coffee on campus, you're going to spend probably less on a period program at your university. And to Linda's point, when you have hundreds of students providing feedback that this is a thing that has saved them from missing class, has saved them from missing that big exciting football game last week, or
Mhm.
whatever the situation may be, very low investment, or I would say really investment not only from a dollar perspective, Linda, as you've mentioned
Yeah,
before on calls, but an investment for the university
yeah.
itself.
I think one of the things that some guys had thought is that, oh my gosh, we're going to stock these, we're going to provide free product, and people are just going to drain the machines. And that's not been the case at all. I think we have one unit in one building that is the first time we stocked it, the next day we came in and all the product was gone. And, you know, from my perspective, if that individual needed that product, then I'm grateful that we were able to provide it. But that's the only time that's ever happened. We've never had a situation from that point forward where people came in and just just ran the dispensers dry. So I think that by offering it, this was a uh, you know people are respectful. They get it that this is something that is a service to them. They're not. We've just not had that issue. And I'm just really grateful to our student body and our population, our faculty and staff. I think one of the things that we focused on is our student population. But think about how many times have you gone to work and gotten hello, surprise. And so keeping people at work is important too, not just at school, but at work, and helping people feel appreciated and understanding what our basic needs are. It's important, folks. Um, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked at the top of the call a little bit, and this will be kind of my last touch point, but you had mentioned legislation in Kansas is really starting to get on the train of having basic needs available, not taxing for them. And for everyone who's on this call, I would highly recommend going to our website or your local resources and looking at legislation in your state. There are over 22 states now in the country that require period products in schools, mostly K through 12, but some requiring in higher education. And this is not a thing that's going to die down. We are going to see this come in waves across the United States, and as it should be accessible to those who need it. And so when we think about not just the need, but some of the things that you're helping students with, right? They already are spending who knows how much on tuition, on their books, on food, on everything else on campus. It's one thing that you can provide that does provide value at the end of the day and at the end of a term, at the end of a semester. And I'd love to hear from you, Linda, and then we'll save some time for questions and comments in the chat. But um, what are you hearing from students now that the dispensers are there? What's some of the feedback you're getting? Do you have a success story that you'd want to share?
I know last year I went to the first home football game, and we had installed the units across all of our sporting facilities as well, and it was like, oh my god, people were paid. It was so funny. I walked in the restroom, and so many people were taking their picture with the dispensers. They just thought it was the best thing, and I just had to chuckle and I smiled to myself, and it was great to see the enthusiasm and even just the talk on campus. That, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And actually the pride that our facilities folks took in stocking the product. I mean, it was I think you'll find Jacob is probably one of the biggest flow bros in this world today. But he is so proud of the installation and being able to offer the product. And you know, I don't think if we were to take those dispensers out, I think we might have a riot on our hands, because they're greatly appreciated. It's fun. I know that Sammy and Jem are here on campus when we actually installed the units. We did a little event at our campus union just to bring awareness to it, and we had lots of, as you could see, the picture in the middle on the bottom is their student body president, actually in front of our banner, and everybody's excited to be able to offer this product, and just become an everyday expectation when folks come to campus. They know they can count on K-State to provide for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Linda, this conversation has been so fun. I never get bored with hearing stories from universities, especially the social media pictures. That is one free PR way to get social media going. We see it
Yeah.
all the time, especially now that football season's back in play. But want to leave some time for questions. I know some of our team members are on answering questions as well. But when you think about some of the questions that you may be getting from universities, what do you anticipate, Linda, are going to be some of the questions that maybe a facilities team should be armed answering or student government should be prepared to answer?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing for us in a public university setting is that how do you purchase the product? You know, this is the way you want to go because you've done your research. You understand that this is from a value added perspective. This is the direction that you want to go. How do you uh, how do you how do you make it work? Because AntFlow is not a current vendor for us. And so I would suggest a variety of different, you could do a variety of different things. One is you can go the request for proposal route, the RFP route. That's because I wanted to make sure that that we didn't lose any momentum. Um, I opted not to go that direction. I did get quotes from a variety of vendors, but I actually approached AntFlow with the possibility of partnering with our current distributor to actually serve as an avenue for us to get the product in the door a little bit quicker. And they were willing to do that. It wasn't the way they had traditionally done business, but I think it actually worked for us and it worked for them. And it exposed our traditional distributors to a product that they had not yet seen. And so they were also willing to cooperate. And so I think if there's a will, there's a way. Um, I would just encourage people to not get frustrated by what we commonly see as a very bureaucratic system sometimes within the university setting. And so if there is a will, there is a way. And I think if anybody on this call has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me through obviously through AntFlow or I think my contact information may be available. If you're on LinkedIn, you can find me there as well. But if there's a will, there's a way. At the same time, don't be afraid to go the RFP route because I can assure you, most likely, AntFlow is going to come out on top.
Awesome. And Riley asked in the chat, who on campus is responsible for reordering and restocking the dispensers?
We actually, the facility staff is a custodial team, actually takes care of stocking the dispensers on K-State's campus.
Got it. Yep. And we find most universities go that route. It's their facilities team, their custodial teams, their operations teams, because when they're going into the bathroom to restock their toilet paper, they're usually
Mhm,
touching the dispensers as well.
mhm.
We make our dispensers very easy to restock. They are all cartridge loaded, so really, really quick and easy, which we can obviously show on any type of demonstration at any time. But that's usually the route that we see people
Yeah,
go in the
and we've not
university
had any
setting.
mechanical issues with the dispensers. One other thing I will say, Riley, with respect to reordering the product, I will say that the university leadership here at K-State is committed that even the continuous supply of product does not, they were willing to continue to support the purchase of the product. And so it did not come out of the existing budget for facilities at Kansas State University. So it was a supplemental funding that came into our budget to actually support the ongoing purchase of a replacement product.
Great. Another question we got was about the comfort of the product. We know
Mhm,
everyone has preference, but was that the only other was that the only negative feedback that you received in the whole program? And if so,
mhm.
how has any other negative feedback been addressed?
Yeah, that was the only time we've had that's the only negative feedback that we've had, quite honestly. And it was one time isolated incident. We've not had any comments like that since. So, um, you know, I think that obviously it's important for us to look at the good of the whole and not everything works for everybody, but in a tight, we're all going to make it work. Mhm.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have a few minutes left to have any other questions thrown in the chat. We are happy to answer those. As Linda said, we will make Linda available to you for questions. Again, I will be available. The QR code is here for you to scan. It will take you actually right to our pricing form. So if you wanted to calculate what a program could look like on campus, please feel free to scan the QR code. We also have internal team members available at any time to run through a quick call, price a program out on campus. What does it look like? What would the lead time be in getting dispensers on campus? We have everything available at your fingertips that you would need. Our website is a ton of great information and resources, from legislation to pricing a program to talking about all of our wonderful organic cotton products. So feel free to use our website as a resource. Question from Amanda. Do you provide just one absorbency for towel and tampons? Yes. So all of our products are regular absorbency. And the reason we think about that is this product is meant to be in the restroom for that time of need. And if we had a bunch of products in different absorbencies in the dispenser, we may not be able to stock as much. Our dispensers hold 100 products at a time. So when you think about your facilities teams, they're not having to restock it as much with a bunch of different product. We do just have one regular absorbency product, but that is a great question that we have. And our regular absorbency is going to be about 2 to 4 hours of support for any average menstruator. Great question. Any others that want to be thrown in the chat before we wrap up for today? Yes, Aaron. Our products are 100% organic cotton, from our tampons to our pads. And one thing I also want to note is there are no single-use plastics in our product, from the applicator to the casing of our product. So if you have sustainability initiatives on campus, as most do, this would adhere right to some of those sustainability initiatives. But yes, all of our products are 100% organic cotton.
I really hope this conversation prompts some people to take some action, and don't be scared. Just get out there and do it. I think that moving forward, as we've talked about, I mean, times today are a little different than they have been in the past. The nice thing is it's not a good old boy syndrome anymore. It's time for us to step up and take some action, and take a proactive role in making things happen at your university. It's easy. Don't settle for a no. Work to the yes and figure out a way to make it happen. I almost bet, Jenny, that there's going to be several of these folks that make some great things happen at their university.
And we are excited to hear about it. We love hearing about these success stories on campus. And a lot of universities come to us and say, we're offering something on campus. To your point, Linda, we have baskets around the university, but we don't know how to sustain a program. So let us help you understand how to sustain a program for the long term. It's absolutely our pleasure.
Yeah. And if I can help in any way, any of you guys individually, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is a great initiative. It's a great initiative. Just make it happen.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we will leave this QR code up for just a couple minutes for anybody who wants to scan to get on the website and understand some more resources that are available. Linda, I cannot thank you enough. Your time is so valuable. I know you are so busy. Students are all on campus. So thank you so much for the time that you've taken with us today and answering questions from those who attended.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. My pleasure, Jenny. My pleasure.
Well, thank you everybody so much for the time.